In this video, I'm going to outline my exact thought process of why you should consider not buying a home or even upsize in 2024. Even if you own a home or you're confident you should own a home, I challenge you to hear out my arguments because at the very least, it will make you confident you're making the right decision to own a home, or it will encourage you to think about home ownership differently. We're going to discuss the opportunity cost, the hidden costs and lifestyle costs of buying a home, and why investing can unlock you greater riches that right now traditional home ownership is just unable to do. I hope you understand I'm not trying to put you off buying a home or upsizing your home or keeping your current home. I want to encourage you to see things from a different perspective. And who knows, it might change your mindset around home ownership altogether, as it has for me, because I believe the answer to owning a home or not is really a balancing act of two key things. Let's start with the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the loss of choices when one choice is chosen. So when you choose to buy a home, you're making a choice to spend your money on a home rather than the unlimited number of other things you could spend your money on instead. And we're all taught that rather than wasting money on other things, it's a good idea to save money to buy a home, because that way, rather than wasting your money on rent, you can spend that money on a mortgage and own a home that then goes up in value over time. And don't get me wrong, that logic makes complete sense. But let's simplify the logic of this for a moment. Is your goal of home ownership to build your long-term wealth? Or is it to just own a home? Or is it a mix of both those things? If it's to build long-term wealth, then you have to be sure that buying a home will see your money grow quicker than buying anything else. But right now, that isn't the case. If you'd put £100,000 in UK property 25 years ago, on average it would be worth around £454,000 today. However, the same £100,000 invested in the global stock market would have seen your money grow even more to around £631,000, almost 40% more. If you're a property investor, it would be different because you would have not just made the money on the capital appreciation of the property, but also on the rental profits that you get on top. Whereas with your home, you're not getting any income. You're paying the mortgage, not the tenant. Of course, past performance doesn't guarantee future performance, and different areas, different property types have performed differently. But you have to consider that if your goal is to build wealth, your home isn't the only way to build that wealth, especially when you consider that interest rates for buying a £285,000 home, the UK average house price at the moment, with a 10% deposit, is coming in at 4.62% at best. At the same time, most regions across the UK's average rental yields are below current interest rates. So in a lot of instances, the rent you pay isn't that far away from the mortgage you'd pay on the same property. So not as much of that rent is money down the drain as it has been in the case in the past. In reality, for most of us, home ownership is about owning a home as well as an investment. Most of us would prefer to live in our own home rather than rent a home where it's not always easy to paint the walls the colours you want, or of course you don't want to spend money on putting in a new kitchen when it's not even your house. Luckily, there are ways to make sure you get best of both, that you own a home, but also make sure you don't put all your eggs in one basket and own fantastic investments at the same time. But before I get into that, it's important to talk about the hidden costs of ownership. Often we focus on the obvious costs of buying and owning a home, the deposit we need to save for, the monthly mortgage repayments, but it can be easy to forget about things like the stamp duty you need to pay and the legal fees. But even once you're in your home, it's estimated you need to set aside about 1% of your home's purchase price for repairs and replacement costs. When I bought my home, 6 months later, the water line burst and I'm spending money to replace that. Then the gutter's blocked and I'm needing to get those all cleared. And of course, the more expensive the home, usually the more expensive the repairs. But the other biggest hidden costs of home ownership is lifestyle creep. As we get comfortable in a home, start to pay down the mortgage, and you might even find you're starting to earn more money. Rather than focusing on reinvesting that excess wealth we've created into different investments that can actually make you more money, we repeat the process we started with. We upsize to a bigger house, or we move to a more expensive area. And this is where I think the good intentions of building wealth through property begins to no longer make any sense anymore, without us even realizing it. Because it's important to realize that any money you invest in your home is money you can't use to invest in something else. There is an opportunity cost. There are so many ways you can get the best of both by owning a home and investing to build your wealth that I'll mention in the final section of this video. But quickly, let's look at why locking more money in your home than you need to can actually have lifestyle costs. Buying a home is a long-term commitment that ties you down to a specific location and lifestyle. So if you lose your job and need to move to that new job on the other side of the country, that might lead to you needing to sell the property you bought, and that's not always easy or quick to do. You need to really consider whether you're ready to stay in one place for at least the next 7 years or more, as generally it's considered that if you own a property for at least 7 years, it's highly unlikely you'll lose any money after all your buying and selling costs. Whereas if you're buying and selling properties every few years, the danger is it might actually make more financial sense for you to just rent and move from place to place as you need to. Invest your deposit money into something else that can make you better returns. In reality, I believe the true balance is to have best of both, to invest and own a home. So you can strike a balance between owning a home and building wealth through investments. You need to treat your home as a cost. Yes, your home can hopefully go up in value over the decades, but it's actually not likely to outperform investing in an index fund, for instance, especially if you're not able to rent it at the same time. You can't rent your home whilst you live in it. Whereas if you have equity in your home, you can release that equity to buy property investments that won't only go up in value like your home, but also earns you rental profits. Or rather than upsizing because you can afford to, but don't need to, do the same thing. Use the excess wealth to invest in other investments. With property investments, it doesn't matter if you move from place to place. You can stick with your investments and choose to invest in property where you can achieve the highest rental yields to make sure you're investing in property that outperforms the market averages. We know now that sinking all your money into a home isn't always the best way to build wealth. So resist the urge to keep up with the Joneses, because your home alone may not be the best investment for you. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.